Okay?
But the worst thing I have heard is, heard people say when somebody was, when their mate was really sick, I mean really bad off, and they would have, they said, you know, if he'd just come back, I'd take good care of him. Or she'd just come back, I'd take good care of him. But they don't realize that person's so much better off.
Oh, yeah.
That, you know, even after a year, I've heard people say this, and I think, you know, why would you bring him back to be sick? Why would you bring her back to be sick? You know, to live another year or 2 or 5.
A lot of what Lenny told me, Lenny was trying to figure out. They told me they could send him to put him on some really fancy chemotherapy. It might extend his life 6 months, but he'd be in the hospital the whole time. 6 months to a year. Without it, he won't last 6 months. You know what Lenny said? Give me the 6 months at home. And I said, Lenny, I've never been in that situation, but I believe that's what I would do. I didn't tell him that to start with. You got to make your own decision. But after he made his decision, I told him, I said, you know, honestly, I've never been in that position, but because he's my friend, I wouldn't necessarily told this to everybody. But, you know, you got to be careful when you counsel people. But I was talking to my friend. And talking to my friend, I just told him, you know what, Lenny, I believe that's a good choice. Because I'd rather spend 6 months with people than a year with nobody up in a hospital room. And so bargaining with God, God, if you let me get through this pain, I'll blah, blah, blah. No. God knows that pain's necessary because it helps you on the other end. All this helps you on the other end if you don't get stuck in it. The problem is, all these things I just talked about, if it's not dealt with properly, if you keep pushing it down, you get to anger. I've seen people push the anger down and they stayed angry the rest of their life. I've seen people push it down and it swiveled up to nothing and died. You know, the life was short. The depression, sadness, guilt, and even false guilt. Again, why didn't I? I shoulda, coulda, woulda. Helplessness, lethargy, judgment impaired. I tell people all the time when they're going through a grievance cycle to be careful. You know, after Lenny died, Roxanne said, come to the house. I said, what you need, Roxanne? She said, I got something for you. I said, what you got? Says, Lenny, at that time was awesome. Nowadays, it's not much of a TV, but then it was. Not all these flat screens. Then he had a Sony Trinitron. And I used to always bring him a bunch of cowboy movies. He'd watch the cowboy movies. And I'd watch them sometimes with him on that Trinitron. So that's the most awesome TV. And I won't get into it, but as a TV technician, you have to understand how awesome a Sony Trinitron was. And so they used prisms instead of a color gun. So again, it's just awesome. And it was so clear. And so she said, I want you to come get Lenny's TV. And I said, what you going to watch? And she said, well, I got this little bitty TV at the house. I said, no, that ain't going to happen. I'm not taking Lenny's TV. And she said, yes, you are. And I said, no, I'm not. And she said, you're taking Lenny's TV. And I said, no, I'm not. And then the Lord just popped me right between the eyes. See, what I was seeing was judgment impaired. That's what I was seeing. But what the Lord was showing me was that was part of her grieving. And Lenny had told her, if anything happens to me and you move, she was moving to Florida, you make sure David gets that television. So she was fulfilling a promise to her husband, and I was seeing impaired judgment. So I finally said, okay, Roxanne, I will. And I felt better after I got it. But all the way until going to getting it, I felt so bad. I came back home and I felt so bad. And once I sat down and thought about it, I said, wait a minute, she's fulfilling a promise to Lenny. And she's dealing with grief. Just do it. Okay? And more like she tried to give me the house or anything. It was a TV. Praise God. But you know, just I was thinking about the impaired judgment. Loneliness, isolation. My dog, when my mama died, of course, I had Beverly, but when Beverly died, I didn't have any. I mean, I had people, but my mama was my mama and Beverly were my spiritual cohorts, and so they're both gone. And you know what kept me going? Besides God, of course God did. My little dog Bugs. That little dog just stayed all over me and knew when I was sad, would come over and love on me. And when that dog died, I thought, I mean, it was like the whole world crashed, because that little dog had been with me through all this pain. And so that dog had a special place in my heart, because it helped me carry pain. And so again, isolation, loneliness. After about 3 months or 4 months of not having a wife tell me what to do, I finally called on and started feeling better. You know, but at the time it was tough. I also used to being told what to do, and I'm going, what do I do now? Okay. Self-pity. Oh, and Bethany. I had Bethany, and Bethany was coming to the age where she needed a woman around. I'm going to tell you how bad this was, this crucible stage. Bethany, I get a call from my sister, and my sister says, I was at Fountain, she says, on your way home, stop by Food Line and get some feminine protection. And I'm thinking, why is my sister calling me asking me to get her feminine protection? And I said, for you? She said, no, for Bethany. Oh no. And I got crying so hard, I had to leave. And somebody said, you're crying because she needs feminine protection? I said, no, I was crying because I was thinking her mom was not here to guide her through this. And when Daniel graduated, oh, it was terrible, because she was not there to see it. And so again, there was that isolation, that loneliness, and the helplessness. Now, also guilt, because I was saying, why do I get to see this, but she doesn't? Now, if you're not careful, you'll go to self-pity and or victim mentality. But here it goes again. My soul is in anguish. How long, O Lord? How long? Psalm 6:3. Again, this can last, usually for a guy, honestly for a guy, about 6 months. But for a woman, it can last a whole lot longer. Now, and that's because a man thinks logically and a woman thinks emotionally. Now, number 3, commitment stage, or contentment stage, not commitment, the contentment stage. Usually around the 6-month period, it even happens if you're going to agree for 2 years, around the 6-month period to a year for women, maybe to a year for women, but it can be up to 6 months. For a guy, about 6 months, he starts accepting the loss, not forgetting it, but leaving it in the past. Do you understand the difference? Not forgetting it, but leaving it in the past. Because up until this point, you're carrying it around with you every day. You're carrying it around with you. You know, all I kept seeing before, I'd go to sleep and I'd wake up and I'd be horrified because I'd see those boys grabbing their mama, hollering, don't leave me, mama, don't leave me. And I done seen the machines go, and it was hard enough, but they were hollering, don't leave us, mama, don't leave us, mama. And it just was just terrible. And I kept waking up, seeing that. I can't tell you how many hundreds of times I was awakened at night, hearing their screams. And so, around the 6-month time, and even after then, we had a cockatiel. And the cockatiel, Beverly taught the cockatiel to do something like this. She would go, I can't even do it. She'd go, give me sugar. I can't do it. And she'd give me sugar, so the cockatiel would do it. Every morning, you hear her do it to the cockatiel, and the cockatiel goes, give me sugar, give me sugar, give me sugar. And that bird had not done that in a year. And one morning I woke up, and she was going, give me sugar, give me sugar, give me sugar. And my heart pounced, and I expected to walk in and see Beverly. She's been gone a year. Again, you start leaving the past in the past. This stage not only accepts that the present offers stability, because the past offers no stability. If you live in the past, for any reason, if you live in the past, there's no stability, because the past cannot exist in the present. It can't. You can learn from it. Once you learn the lesson, you got to keep moving. And a lot of people, they find themselves in a very bad stage in life because they can't leave the past in the past, especially grieving. But also accepts the future that the future offers new hope, and new and promising hope. As this time approaches, the following characteristics will be more and more apparent. And now you start experiencing something a little different. I told you this is healthy. Get ready. Are you ready to see some healthy stuff? I know this has been tough, but this is what you experience. People think they're crazy when you start experiencing this stuff. They come to me and go, I've lost my mind. I'm crazy. I'm a dingbat. I go, no, you're not. Yeah, I say, you're not a dingbat. You're healthy. They go, I'm absolutely stark raving mad. I said, no, you're not. It's okay. So here we go. Here it is. You get a greater compassion toward others.